What's up, YouTube? It's Cyclone, and I have a beer review for you today. I'm kind of curious to see where this one ends up on my rating scale because these guys can make some very good beers, but they also have a couple beers that are a little bit underwhelming. I'm talking about Clown Shoes, guys. One of the first craft beer brewers I ever became a fan of. This is their Snow on the Maple Tree 2018. This is a stout aged in maple bourbon barrels. Sounds absolutely delicious. This is a 1 pint 6 fluid ounce bottle at 11.25% alcohol, coming in at $14. I mean, that's actually pretty reasonable considering the strength and the fact that it's a bourbon barrel aged in maple bourbon barrels, to boot. This would probably be near $20 for the Big Bomber, and that's still less expensive than the other maple barreled beers I've had. So this is a little bit on the cheaper side. It also has a bottled on date, 11/31/18. So we're under 2 months old for this one, guys. Today is January 21st. So I want to drink this now because a couple reasons. Number one, it was made in maple syrup barrels, and I want all the sweetness I can get from the maple. So I don't want to linger too much on this one. I'd rather open it now. Doesn't really tell you much about the flavor. A vision of a Japanese maple tree weathering a snowstorm. Doesn't really talk about the flavor. That's going to be up for us to find. Let's see how this beer does, though. I'm very curious. It has all the ingredients to make something very good, but I'm wondering just how much the maple comes out, how much the other flavors come out in the beer. So let's crack it open. Not a huge amount of hiss on there. I am getting maple in the nose. I'm getting some milk chocolate, maple caramel. Smells very good. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of vanilla. Ooh, it smells very, very good. It does smell very nice, guys. Let's pour it out and see what we get. Without a doubt, it's a Clown Shoes. It's going to be dark black, guys. Extremely dark with very little to no light coming through. And there's no light at all. Pitch black beer. Looks very nice in the glass. Not even a finger ahead, so not a very carbonated beer. So barrel aged, it's not surprising. Let's get a nose on it in the glass. Wow. I am getting the maple, but I'm also getting like a strong caramel and a strong vanilla. Maybe some milk chocolate scents in there. Wow. Smells sweet, smells malty, what I'm hoping for in this type of beer. Let's taste it and see how much maple we can really get out of it. Cheers. Okay. There is maple in here. I can taste it. But I would argue it's a little bit more of an aromatic maple than it is a syrupy maple that you taste, like physically. It tastes like baked in maple. Like if you've ever had that on a coffee, instead of a syrupy or sweet taste, it's baked into the bean. This tastes like the wood. Tastes like the maple right now is a little bit more on the bottom of the beer, holding the whole framework together. Almost like maple wood. I am getting some bourbon in here. Roasted malt. Bourbon. The maple is almost like a smoky aspect, like a smoked maple. Like maple wood. Maple syrup and sweetness Not exactly. I'm wondering how long this was barrel aged and how new the barrels were, and if they were first or second used barrels. There is a nice roasted character to this beer. Wow. There is maple. It's just not as strong as CBS, for example. But it's pretty good beer. I'm digging. The mouth feels good. The roasted characters are all over it. It's leaving a lingering smoke on the palate. Almost like a Scotch ale without the peat. Like smoky bourbon. If you want the bourbon notes to really come out in a beer like this one has it, definitely. I would argue, though, that the pure maple syrup taste is a little bit muted here compared to some other beers that are on the market. But I do taste it. It's not as sweet and as syrupy. It's like a baked-in maple syrup taste. There's a bunch of barrel notes on this beer. I'm actually very impressed by the barrel notes. It tastes like charred bourbon wood. Like charred maple wood that they use for bourbon. It really has a smoky character. I'm actually kind of surprised at how smoky it is. Lingering roasted characters, malts on my palate. It's a very pleasant beer. Mouthfeel's excellent. It's velvety smooth. It's not a bad beer by any stretch. I'm just not sure if I will give it a 100 because I've had CBS and I'm comparing the amount of maple you normally get on a beer like that with this. As of now, this is falling short of that. But let's let it warm up, and I'll come back with my final thoughts. All right, guys. I'm back here with Snow on the Maple Tree 2018. This is a very, very tasty beer. It's super strong on the bourbon. It's like pure bourbon with roasted malt on it. Like, it is so strong. It's actually a little too strong for me to give it the 100 because the barrel notes are just all over it, but the maple syrup that I'm really looking for is muted. So I wonder if they kind of skipped out on the maple syrup that was used, or if they used second run barrels, meaning that something else was in it before the beer. There are things that brewers do to save money. Instead of buying more barrels or renting barrels, they will just reuse them for one batch to another batch. And that can ruin if you get a second batch beer. I don't know. I don't know what they did. I can just tell you the maple syrup notes are a little bit too muted, in my opinion. There's like a maple smokiness to the beer. You understand? But then it becomes bourbon. Wow. Super strong bourbon notes. The beer is delicious. It's medium bodied, not very carbonated, tons of roasted character, and tons of bourbon. In fact, the aftertaste is all bourbon. It's just like, wow. I wouldn't be surprised if this sat in the barrel for at least 6 to 8 months, if not even a year. That would be impressive. The notes are off the chain. So it is featuring the bourbon barrel very well. Lingering bourbon, like wow. I would probably say this is like a 97 due to just how well it features the bourbon barrel, the price, and the information. Everything's on here. I just can't give it a higher because it's missing that real maple syrup that you're looking for. There are notes of maple dancing around, but the bourbon overpowers it. So it needs to be more balanced for me to go higher. It's like, see, it's like a 96 or a 97. It's like a 96.5, honestly. It's right at that borderline. I think a 96. I mean, the maple is too muted. I think it's in the high A to very beginning of A plus. Worth a purchase, and I think a try if you really want those strong bourbon notes to come out. It's a very pleasant drink. It'll kick your butt if you're not ready for it. Of course, they're going to make a stout that's so freaking strong. Of course, Clown Shoes goes over the edge with the barrel tastes. Sound familiar, right? Snow on the maple. Let's see what this guy has here. So I think a 96. Beer Advocate says a 4.29. Yeah. I'd say that's a good score. I'd say that's a good score for this beer. That's almost into the A range. I'm going a little higher. The barrel notes are just ridiculously strong here. And it looks like this is the second iteration. 2017 was the first. Bourbon. I mean, I drink bourbon. I drink beer. I can tell you this is bourbon forward all the way. Wow. This is going to be too much for some people. Let's see what some people are saying about it. Yeah. Well, this guy says he wished the barrel made itself known. The bourbon, yeah, the bourbon warms. And the bourbon comes out of this beer like clear your sinuses types of bourbon taste. If this just said it was a bourbon barrel aged stout in maple wood, let's just say maple wood, not maple bourbon barrels that had a premium maple syrup aged in them as well. If this just said that it was a maple wood aged bourbon barrel stout, I'd probably definitely give it an A plus. But I'm looking for syrup, guys. Anyways, Cyclone signing up. See you on the next one.